Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in this video, I want to show you the professional way of cutting a female trouser. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to mark out the trouser length, which is 38 inches plus the folding allowance of 2 inches, making it a total of 40 inches. Alright, so remember 38 inches plus the folding allowance 2 inches, making it a total of 4 inches. Now you can see that I'm marking it on the both side, alright, because I want to have a straight line. Okay, so after I've marked it, I'll rule it to make sure I have a straight, smooth line. Alright, so this is the first thing. One of the first process of cutting a female trouser is getting the 4 lines. So what I'm trying to get here is the 4 lines, the 4 major lines in cutting a female trouser. Alright, so now the hip is 40. The hip is 40. Now to get my flap measurement, I'm going to divide the hip by 4 plus 1 inches of sewing allowance. That is 11 inches. Alright, so now the half length is 23, and I mark 23 here also, and I'm also going to mark 23 here. Okay, so remember that the flap measurement is the hip divided by 4 plus 1 inches. That is if the trouser is going to be a high waist trouser. So what I'm cutting here is a high waist trouser. Alright, now this is my 4 line, the waistline, the laps, the knee, and the ankle. You understand? So now we are now going to place our measurements at these lines that we have created already. So first of all, the laps is 26 inches. Okay, so 26 divided by 2 is 13, which is what I marked here. Right. Now the next thing is I'm going to divide this 13 inches by 2. Now the process, what I'm trying to get here is the center line, okay, because this pattern requires placing the measurement at the center of the trouser. This is how we get a perfect fitted trouser for ladies. Okay, so remember that it is the hips, the laps rather, divided by 2 is 13 inches. Now I'm also dividing it by another 2 to create this center line that you're seeing here, and it's going to have effect from the knee to the ankle only. That's why I marked it there. Okay, so now the knee measurement is 10 inches, which is 20 inches. 20 divided by 2 is 10 inches. Now you can see how I'm balancing this measurement between this line. You can see that now it is 5 inches. Instead of going from here, I'm dividing it between the line. Do you understand that now? Alright, so that's the purpose of the line. Now the ankle measurement is 16 inches. 16 inches divided by 2 is 8 inches. Okay, so 8 inches, I'm also going to divide it in between the line, which is 4 inches on both sides. You understand now? So remember that these lines, the waistline, the first one there is the waistline, the laps, the knee, and the ankle. Okay, so now we are going to connect the dots from the ankle to the knee and to the laps. Now we did not add any sewing allowance. The sewing allowance will come when we will be cutting the back. Okay, so at this point now we have gotten our laps down. Now we are going to get the hips. Now the hips measurement is 3 inches up from the laps measurement. Hope you can see this. 3 inches upwards from the laps measurement. Now I'm going to get a straight line there, which is going to serve as our hip line. Okay, so hip line is 3 inches above the laps line. Do you understand? So at this hip line, we are going to put our hip measurement. Remember, our hip measurement is 40 inches. So I'm going to mark 10 inches here, and I'm also marking it here as well, because I want to get a straight line here. You understand? So I will also mark 10 inches at the waistline also. You understand? Because I want to get a straight line here. Now to get this crotch, the curve there, I'm going to curve from here to the other point. You see the point where the line meets the line meets the hips line. You see that line there? The curve meets that line. Okay, so now the next thing we are going to do now is the waist measurement. Okay, now the easiest formula to get this is if you minus 1 inch from both sides, you easily get the waist measurement. Now the waist measurement is 34 and we are dividing it by 4. Now 34 divided by 4 is 8.5 inches. So what I will do here is, so the simple formula is minus 1 inches from here, from this side, and then half inches from the other side. Alright, so 10 inches minus 1.5 inches automatically gives me 8.5 inches. Alright, so here I'm confirming the measurement and then I'm making this curve. You can see this curve here. That is what you used to know a female trouser. You can see how curvy is looking. Alright, so the owner of this measurement is not very curvy, you understand? So you can see this measurement now. This is 8.5 inches. Okay, so here I'm confirming the measurement and what I have here is 34. Okay, so this is the hip. 10 times 4 is 40. This is the laps. 13 times 2 is 26, and the rest is the knee and the ankle. Okay, so now I'm going to cut it out. Alright, you can see that I confirmed the measurements before cutting. It is very important to confirm the measurements before you cut. So once we are done cutting the front, now the next part is going to be the back, and at the back is where we are going to be adding our sewing allowance. Do you understand? So remember that we did not add anything at the front. This is the exact measurement that we measured. The waist is 34, hips 40, the laps is 26, the knee is 20, and the ankle is 16. You can see the curve from the cutting. You can see how smooth the curve is looking. Alright, so if you follow this pattern, cutting any female trouser, it is definitely going to look neat when you are done sewing the clothes. You understand? So if you have watched to this point, you can like, share, and comment. That will motivate me to do more. You understand? So thanks for watching to this point. Alright, so now I'm trying to make sure that everything is equal before I cut the back. Yeah, cutting the back is very easy and simple. You simply place the front this way, position the front this way, making sure that there is enough space at the front and at the back as well. Do you understand? Now I'm measuring to be sure that I have up to 2 inches. Alright, so the normal sewing allowance that I add in my trousers is 2 inches. Okay, so here I'm confirming the sewing allowance that I have. Okay, so I'm adding 2 inches all over the back, the hip area, the ankle, down to the laps. Alright, so every inches I'm adding, anything you're adding is going to be equal all through. If you're adding 3 inches, then make sure that it is 3 inches all through. Okay, so you just cut it out. Yeah, so you're done. Thanks for watching. Like, share, comment, and of course I'll see you in the next one.